Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks. We're talking it Saturday, October 25th. Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm going to have three NBA player prop picks for you guys to lock in for tonight's/today's NBA betting slate. I guess they are all tonight because they start at 7. 5 games on the schedule for today. Again, I have 3 plays to lock in. Just taking them straight, no ladders for tonight. As far as yesterday goes, because we do have to do a recap, we made money. Not a ton of money, but we did make money. We were able to cash out Jalen Brunson, 3+ made 3-pointers. He had 0 at halftime. He ended with 3, so I can't really complain about that. My only complaint is that I should have taken it for a unit and then not done the ladder, but easy to say that in hindsight. Luka Doncic, cashed his first quarter point prop, absolute first quarter wagon. Unfortunately, Davion Mitchell didn't cash anything, didn't cash his points or his ladder, obviously, if he didn't cash his main line. Very frustrating there because the Heat scored like 150 points. You figured he was going to get 11 of those. He only took 2 shots. It was the other guys on the Heat that absolutely blew up. So all in all, up 0.61 units. Obviously nothing incredible. Not going to get us back in the green after the first 2 nights of the year where we literally went 0 for 6. But hey, we're profitable 2 straight days since then. Still down over 5 units on the year. Obviously we need to have a much better day to get ourselves in the green from an 0-6 start, but profitable 2 days in a row since then. So nice to put that behind us. Last year, up over 31 units. Year before, up over 118 units. Have all the data for the markets and stuff as well that I will update for the 2025 data once the season has gone on for a little bit longer. But it's been a tough start, but the last 2 days have been okay. I'm not going to say they've been great, but we're going to start with the first play. Is actually backing this guy you see on the screen here, Paolo Banchero. We're taking him over 26.5 points. Now you can get this at plus 100 at Bet365. Now when I started recording, this was at plus 100 at FanDuel. It moved to minus 108, but you can still get plus 100 at Bet365. So go ahead and lock that in. Decent price. I mean, you look at the books. We see some have it at 27.5. Granted, they have it at minus 105, but still, even money for 26.5 is a pretty good number. I love this. I like to call it a classic fade of recent results. You look at him, he hasn't gone over this in any of the games this year. 24 points the first game of the year, only 11 points in this game last night. Pretty gross game last night. What I do like is that he did cash his point prop over in the first game. It was set. This is something you can do on Props Madness, which I probably should have mentioned at the beginning. Very, very, very helpful tool. Very, very helpful part of their tool is that you can filter between the closing line and the actual line that it is for today. And all the closing line is what whatever prop you're looking at closed at. So it closed at 23.5. He scored 24. So he did go over his point prop in game 1, coming off of a really gross game last night. He only went 4 of 15 from the field, 0 of 5 from deep. Just a bad game overall. What I do like is that Franz has blown up in both of these games. He's gone over his point prop. He's gone over his line of 22.5. They're still hanging 22, 23.5 for Franz while we're getting Paolo all the way up at 26.5, which shows me that the books are expecting him to have a bounce back game. And I don't necessarily blame them for that. It's a pretty good matchup against the Bulls. You go off of last year. You look at the Bulls defense. They were average in terms of fouls, but gave up a ton to the pick and roll ball handler. And that's an important number because if you look at Franz, he actually ended the year pretty well. You look at his last 22 games. He went over 26.5 points in 16 of 26 games. You look at the closing line, he did that in 17 of 26 games. Now we're going to look at games with Franz because Franz missed a bunch of time, as did Paolo. And we're going to filter. So we're going for opponent rank versus play type, which is the pick and roll ball handler. And we're going to look at teams that are in the bottom half. So just 15 or 16 to 29 in terms of guarding the pick and roll ball handler. Paolo went over what the books thought his prop was in 14 of 22 games against teams that were bad at guarding the pick and roll ball handler. Now, it's an interesting team because they added Desmond Bane, who is taking some of the work. But watching Franz blow up the first 2 games and then watching Bane, he was good in the first game, not so much in the second game. He also kind of didn't shoot well, 5 of 14 from the floor, 1 of 7 from deep. And another good fade of recent results with Bane. I just like Paolo better. So we're taking him over 26.5. Last year against the Bulls, 1 good game, 1 tough game, 31 points. I think this was the game he got hurt. His oblique, if I remember correctly. And then the second game, another game where he shot poorly, but I love the fact that he got to the line. 11 free throw attempts, 0 of 5 from deep, 5 of 15 from the field. The Bulls do a really bad job guarding the restricted area. That's where Paolo likes to get, and that's where he scored the majority of his buckets this year, is in the restricted area. So he's going to drive to the hoop, be able to get some buckets. That's play number one. Paolo Banchero over 26.5 points, minus 108. Minus 108 right now. But you can get plus 100 at Bet365. So go ahead and lock that in there. Next up, our second play, we're heading to the Thunder versus Hawks game. And we're going to the assist market for Jalen Johnson, which is offered at minus 105 odds at BetMGM. So a lot of books have it pretty heavily juiced, but you can get it at minus 105 at BetMGM. And I absolutely love the price and the play on this one. Obviously, gross game from Jalen Johnson, so another fade of recent results. You're going to sense a theme with the plays that we have here today. One assist yesterday, 26 minutes played. Gross. He was in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls in that game. Two in the first quarter. Could just never really get his footing. But the first game of the year, 8 assists, 15 potential assists. You cut these numbers in half, and we're still cashing out this 3.5 assist prop that the books are hanging, that BetMGM is hanging for Jalen Johnson. So I really like this one a lot. The biggest thing here is the passes, right? You see passes made. I can't point because obviously I wish I had like a clicker, but you see passes made, 71. The reason why that's important, that led the team in the first game. That led the team by a mile. You want to look at passes thrown by Trae Young in this game, 36. Now, obviously, that's going to normalize, right? Jalen Johnson's not going to average almost double the passes thrown from Trae Young. But this was a huge talking point in the offseason that they wanted Trae to just do something off the ball. Don't hog the ball the entire time. And you saw Jalen Johnson with the ball in his hands a ton. So I think that's going to continue last year. If you look at the 3.5 number, 18 of his last 24 games. He got hurt. You look at every game last year, 75% of the time he got to over 3.5 assists. He averaged 5. You look at what his closing line is, 4.5 in pretty much every single game. So the books are, and it probably, by the time you're watching this, it might bump to 4.5. If that does happen, take that for 3/4 of a unit. So unit size that down, but do take still the 5+. Based on the odds. The minus 105 at BetMGM was a crazy line. But you see that he was consistently priced at 4.5, right? That's what the books are expecting. He landed on 4 a lot. 8 separate times, 9 separate times, he landed on exactly 4. So that does seem to be a little bit of a key number. But I think the reason why we got it down to 3.5 is because the matchup against the Thunder, who obviously have a fantastic defense, the Thunder do. But they do kind of, the way they play defense, and obviously this last game is when he got hurt, so you kind of take that game out. But anyways, the way the Thunder play defense, they don't give up anything to whoever has the ball in their hands. And also via transition. But if we go pick and roll ball handler, 10th fewest. If we go to isolation, fewest. But we look at, I wouldn't shut spot up, 26 points per game via spot ups, right? That's kind of an assisted play. Now that obviously you would think that leads to Trae Young, but his assist prop is priced at 9.5, and he's not even coming close to that. Like, even though he had a bad potential assist conversion rate in the first game, they lost by 20, they got smoked. I'm not even comfortable with 10 assists on 14 potential assists yesterday. We don't have tracking data for yesterday yet, so all we know is that he ended with 6 assists. But unlike Paolo, the ancillary data doesn't really match up with the Trae Young 9.5 assists. I think it's much better for Jalen Johnson. And you look at last year, like forwards of the ilk of Jalen Johnson had success against the Thunder. 10 of 15 went over. Now, these are obviously guys in the playoffs. So Aaron Gordon had a great assist matchup. We see Giddey went off for 10 against them. And then Siakam in the finals had a good assist matchup against them as well. His prop opened up at 2.5 and then got bumped to 3.5 the rest of the series. So I think that this is a good look on Jalen Johnson and his assist prop. This is our second play of the video. And then our third and final one, we are heading to the Hornets versus Sixers game. Another fade of recent results. This time we're going with Tyrese Maxey, and we're taking him over 6.5 assists, plus 115 odds at Hard Rock, plus 100 at BetMGM. I would take either one of those prices. If you don't have Hard Rock in your state, but you do have the exchanges, Novig, ProphetX, I would try to get the plus 115. You probably will be able to get that matched. And you probably will be able to do that on Jalen Johnson as well, if you weren't able to get that minus 105, if that moved by the time you're watching this. But looking at Maxey, I could basically copy and paste the first sentence. A classic fade of recent results. He went off for 40 points last game. He was fantastic. He was amazing. No notes. His assists, 6 assists on 16 potential assists. That is obviously a horrible conversion rate. I don't think 16 potential assists is that crazy for Maxey with this iteration of the Sixers. Embiid was on a minutes restriction and he looked horrific. Obviously, VJ Edgecombe's fantastic. Quentin Grimes is fantastic. None of these guys are really able to pass the way that Maxey can. Like, not until McCain comes back is anybody going to be able to run offense and actually like pass the way that Maxey can. So I don't think 16 potential assists is that crazy. And I definitely like the 7+ that you can get for plus 115 at Hard Rock. You look, 75 passes made. Remember Jalen Johnson? We showed him at 71 and how good that was. Maxey's even higher. Remember Trae Young was at 36. You look at passes made like Edgecombe, who was also amazing in that game. He had 3 assists. He also had 75 passes made, but he only had 5 potential assists. So when he was passing it, it wasn't setting players up like Maxey was. You kind of can see the difference there. So Edgecombe his point prop at 17.5. I know people are going to want to take that. I can't talk anybody off of that. He was amazing in game 1. I personally am not going to chase that. It's his first game of the year to put up 13 3-pointers. Who knows if that's going to be consistent game over game, but I love the Maxey assist prop. You look at the matchup against the Hornets. This is based off last year. It's hit or miss, right? Some have them as a very good matchup. Some stats show them as not so good of a matchup. So it kind of averages out at equal, maybe slightly below average, but not really anything that I am scared of. Last year, Maxey wasn't fantastic with the assists, only went over this number. 11 of his last 24 games, only went over that number and the closing line. It was mostly priced at 6.5, so the number hasn't really jumped much since then. I just love this after last game against a harder matchup. Granted, his over-under was priced at 5.5, so he did cash what his assist prop was in the first game at 5.5, but at 6, I like it for plus 115 over 6.5. That's our third and final official play of the video. To recap, we'll go over the 3 plays. It's Maxey over 6.5 assists, plus 115 at Hard Rock. Jalen Johnson over 3.5 assists, minus 105 at BetMGM. Paolo Banchero over 26.5 points, even money. This is actually Bet365 now. When I sent it out, it was FanDuel. That bumped to minus 108. Now it's plus. Now the best offer price is on a 365. In terms of leans, there was a couple things that I looked at. I was really close to going right back to Jokic points. I took him in game 1. He didn't even come close with only 21 points, but he shot horribly. I mean, he took 13 3-pointers. That's crazy for Jokic. I mean, you don't see him take that many threes. So because he only made 2 of them, he shot horribly. 35% from Jokic from the field is not going to happen game over game. But as bad as the Suns are in terms of like, they don't really have any big, I guess they have like a bunch of random jabroni big men. Like they have the guy they traded for from the Hornets, Mark Williams. They have the 2 Charlotte centers and Nick Richards. And then they also have one other guy who I'm forgetting. But, they drafted a guy, Malawach. They drafted him a center as well. They don't really give up a ton down low. Like you see, maybe in the non-restricted area of the paint is where they gave up a lot of damage. But really, you want to beat them from the perimeter. That's kind of how the Suns play defense. Granted, that was last year with a different head coach. So we don't really know how the Suns are going to be. It's not a matchup that Jokic has had a ton of success scoring against. 2 out of 7 games, he scored over 28.5. So I didn't really see anything there. Booker on the points, I kind of liked because he's coming off of a rough game yesterday. Rough in terms of like, it's not that he shot horribly, but he only put up 10 shots. They got blown out by 27. Put up 19 shots, got to the line 15 times. I do think that it's a nice fade of recent results on Booker. Also his assists, granted, I'm not touching these prices, but 7.5 for plus money is not terrible. He didn't hit it yesterday. He had exactly 7 assists, but again, gross game, lost by 27. And then the other game I looked at but didn't have anything, it was either the points for Ja Morant. I looked at that, but coming off of a back-to-back, granted, he only shot 4 of 16, but he's had trouble staying healthy. He only played 22 minutes, so maybe he does play today, but if he plays another 20, 25 minutes, I'm not going to love that. He did play 29 minutes in the first game in which they won, and he went over this number. And I also looked at the assists for SGA. No, that was in the Thunder game. I looked at the assists of SGA as another classic fade of recent results because you look at him this year, only 5 in each game, 17 potential assists, 15 potential assists. Now we're having him play the Hawks, who are a good matchup for assist props. You can get plus 124 for him to get to 8. That's not terrible, but with a bunch of guys missing, Caruso's out, Jay Will is out for this game. I guess I can't go back to last year, but Jay Will is out for this game, so maybe he's just going to end up shooting more. I mean, his point prop 35 and 55. SGA can do that. I also looked at him in the first quarter, but it was gross for over 9.5 and 10.5 for even money. I didn't think was good value. So just sticking with the 3 plays that you see on the screen here. But if you want to lock in any of those leans, I'm not going to stop you. I appreciate everybody for watching. Would love to have another day in the green. I'm not going to say another good day because 0.6 units of profit is not incredible. But we go 2 out of 3, we make money. We go 3 out of 3, we sweep. That would be nice. Thanks for watching and have a good one.